welcome back to Taking Action, Making Connections. I'm your host, Annie Wickham, and I'm joined here today by an electrical expert, Kenny. Welcome back, Kenny. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm great, thanks. So what we're going to do today, it's going to be an electrician's react video. So essentially, we're going to play some videos that I found on like TikTok, Instagram, places like that. And you're just gonna give us your honest reaction to them, whether they're bad, good, ugly, pretty, whatever it happens, okay?
Awesome, let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So here's the first one we are going to play.
This is what a $20,000 electric job looks like.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
The electrician forgot the measurements and made random holes trying to find them. You don't want to see the rest, I swear.
All right, so how does that make you feel?
Oh, man. So one of the first things that we learn as an electrician is that deepness is really 80% of the job. Not taking proper measures, not having your switches line up. I mean, like, it really goes down to the screws lining up on your switch itself. So it's definitely one of those things where it's kind of like, $20,000 really? That sounds like a professional price. I'm sure you're expecting a professional result at that point. You get me?
Yeah, and there were holes all over in the ceiling.
It's insane. It really just happens from inexperience or like not having the proper tools, I want to say. But drilling right in between the studs, it was insane for sure. It's one of those bad things.
What does the patchwork for fixing that look like?
I'm a great electrician, but that's typically as far as my knowledge goes. Typically, that's what I would tell a customer if I ever came to that situation. No, I'm just kidding. Typically you want to get like a drywaller to do the patch, put some mud on it, and then paint it afterwards. It really is a whole process because the mud has to dry, then the paint has to do a couple colors of it. So it's a multi-day process after, what's expected out of a $20,000 huge investment like that. It's definitely more than a hiccup, if you ask me.
Just a mess. All right, here's our next one.
Hey, TikTok, I've got an electrician. He'll do it for half the price.
I love those videos.
What was wrong with that?
What wasn't wrong with that? I mean, it's one of those things where, only because it works, it doesn't mean it's safe. You get me? You want to have all your connections inside of a box. That those places where you saw tape around wires is just multiple wires joining into just one, essentially, to be able to steal electricity. The box is right there, which is a couple inches away, right? If those pieces of tape were to fall off or be taken off by any chance, there's a good chance that it's bare connection instead of a wire nut in there. So if you touch the copper, it's one of those things where you can definitely get shocked on, right? Very, very bad work, honestly. It's just lazy work, I want to say.
It looks like a dangerous job with that one. All right, moving right along to our next one.
Right, so I've got the floorboards up along here, and whoever done it mullered the floorboards. But look what I've discovered here, as usual. As per usual, look. What a joke. Oh my days. These people, man, they're right.
Okay. Well, where to start? How would this make you feel if you were remodeling your house and then you found something like that all of a sudden?
So I personally am a PC gamer, and one huge thing that I hold to is cable management. So that in and of itself just looks like a complete wreck.
Not just a wreck, but like a huge hazard within itself. You get me? So junctions, which is exactly what we saw, just wagos where multiple wires come into a wago to be able to conduct electricity, should by all times be covered or be inside a concealed box. You get me? Mm-hmm. At the same time, it should be accessible. So it should never be buried like that, because at the end of the day, if it's buried and you're cutting, for example, like the flooring itself, and you cut too deep, or I'm not too sure, a million things can go wrong with it. It's just, it's not safe. Having loose wires like that, having them not be inside of a box like that, it's dangerous. And aside from that, it's surprising to find wires like that. You get me? It's one of those things.
I mean, and how are you, without it being in like a managed cable box where an electrician knows to look, how are you ever going to fix any electrical work you do need to fix, right?
Exactly. That's where these like huge projects come out of sometimes, because we're expecting one thing, because 1 + 1 = 2. And then we run into things like this, and it's just kind of like, whoa, you get me? Where do we start?
When you're doing a whole secondary project, cutting open floors. Yeah, I can see how that's an issue for sure. Next one here.
New build electrics for you. So there was obviously supposed to be a socket right there, but too close to the sink. So what they've done is put them in this junction box, slung it round behind the boiler to a socket over there. Absolute monstrosity. None of these are in zones. Yeah, zones went out the window with this job, it looks like. But yeah, tiles are just tiled straight on the top of that. Beautiful.
Jeez.
Same issue with access, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, with that one, there was a couple people that were just like, that's not my job, basically, and just, walk right over it. At the same time, it needs to be protected. It needs to be inside of a wire, or I'm not a wire, a pipe itself, because it's open access, or at least behind the actual drywall and between the studs. Having it just open like that, you're just asking for disasters at that point.
Yay, especially right next to a sink and a boiler.
Yeah, electricity and water, they're great things, but they usually don't get along together.
Yeah, you normally don't want them to get along together.
Yeah, one of those things for sure.
Okay.
Who'd you say did the electrical work?
Oh, that would be my nephew, Thomas. He's very handy.
Yeah. What year did his house burn down?
Oh, about 2 years ago. How do you know his house burned down?
What year? That's too good.
Oh, man. Okay. One of those things, only because it's working doesn't mean it's safe. Exactly. You get me? Wow. Jeez. So it's really just being disorganized. Being organized, being efficient with your work is just about 80% of electrical. Cleanliness is just about 80% of electrical. Seeing things like that where it's just kind of like a spaghetti bowl instead of a panel, or multiple wires all over the place. It's one of those things where anyone can just yank on it, and it could lead to a lot of potential huge issues. You get me? So yeah, big time. Having your nephew run a couple of things here and there, maybe changing an outlet too, not a bad idea. Rewiring a farm, or let's say a suite like that, or a garage, I would not recommend it.
No. Well, and it's
About 2
What
years
years?
ago.
how'd you know his house burned down? Oh, that's solid.
We've got a little gem here, look. Outside junction box. Completely IP rated. Painted brown.
All thread from a few spur. Look at that. How's it not gone bang?
Well, okay. So what's around the junction box is rust. You get me? The junction box is weatherproof from what I can tell. But the wire in the bottom was just kind of like out in the open with the clear hole access inside the house. With with wear and tear just from the weather outside, snow, rain. I mean, like just a very hot day can really just burn up that wire. A great job with the junction box though, but I want to make sure that the whole line is protected, not just, the weakest links. Exactly. And then with the indoor switch, oh my, if your wiring looks like that, give us a call. You get me? Definitely. Let's leave it at that.
That thing looks a mess for sure. Okay, I think we're on this one.
Let me show y'all something. It's probably about the only bad thing that it is about being an electrician. So look, we digging this trench right now. This hole is about 6 feet deep. We gotta dig because the digging crew decided to cut the freaking pipes. So we gotta reattach the pipes from here all the way about near to the street. Look at how long this is. And I'm in here doing it. Let's go.
So you were talking about electrical pipes. Is that an electrical pipe?
That is an electrical pipe. Yes, that's a PVC pipe, which is meant to be buried. That's just, another day. Really, it was just another day. When it comes to like plumbers breaking the actual pipe buried underground, it's tough because every time we lay pipe or bury pipe, we put like caution tape every so feet. So as they're digging, they'll kind of like dig up this caution tape that says hazard electrical lines right underneath you. You get me? So it's one of those things where if it's not done right the first time, it's not going to like fix itself or get better by any chance possible. And if by any chance you need to dig there or a plumber needs to get access in that point and there's no warning sign, it's guaranteed that they're going to hit those lines.
Gonna dig it up. Okay, so you put like electrical, or not electrical, caution tape on every few.
So it's
how's that work?
It's essentially like an electrical caution tape, like a electrical line is right underneath you. You want to put it, I want to say like 3. So you want to dig your pipe, then you want to have like 3 feet of like dirt, and then your first caution, another 3, and then your second one. So as they're digging, they're like, okay, it's right here. Yeah, man. And then you leave a pretty long one, so it's not our first rodeo. I'm not sure. Well, those little things don't seem so important at first, but I promise you they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when someone ends up needing to dig there, they want to know there's an electrical line. I would want to know.
Why? Just why? I mean, it works. I promise you it's gonna work. It's just not safe. You get me? That should be a hard wire directly on. You shouldn't have a switch directly onto, an extension cord like that, or make a Romex wire into an extension cord. It's one of those things. If water were to get in there or anything like that, it could definitely lead to a lot more issues. But at the end of the day, it's really just like, people cutting edges or doing a little bit of lazy work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well,
and I mean, what it seemed like too is that was in a ceiling, right? And say your roof's right above that. All it takes is your roof to sprout a leak, for your electrical to get wet, for your house to burn down.
Yes.
And that's just like one disaster after another. And
then that's when like a lot of our customers will talk or tell us about this like endless nightmare. That's like one thing after the next. It's just typically a good reason why they start going out all of a sudden, especially if they were, good for so long. So it's not always wear and tear. You get me? Yeah. A lot of times it's things like that.
It's just poorly done work. I get it. This one.
Got a bathroom, but there's a light in here on a switch. Switch comes around and gets plugged into the surge protector, which feeds this 1900 box, which feeds those switches up there. The surge protector is plugged into an extension cord. That extension cord comes over here, plugs into this outlet. This outlet is being fed and plugged into this guy. And then out of that box is this guy right here, which if we follow that back around, keep following it, and goes into this guy. Well, then out of there, we come out with this yellow wire, and we plug into the laundry circuit. I mean, If this isn't DIY, I don't understand what would be.
And that is why your lights flicker every time you do your laundry.
That was just like the most. It was bad in the first like 2 seconds, and then it just like got progressively
worse and worse and worse. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
the attitude was confusing me because he was like, okay, it's about to be fixed. You know, it was just one small hiccup that we ran into. Whoopsie doopsie, whoopsie daisy. And no, one thing after the other after the other.
Tracing it along the ceiling.
I promise you that took him quite a bit of a time to open all those junctions, follow those wires through, and see what's feeding what. I promise you he was not laughing the first 5 minutes. He found out.
He was cursing.
Jeez.
I'm sure. That looked rough.
Yeah, it's really bad because at the end of the day, you have like multiple different size wires coming into junctions where they shouldn't be, you know, not just overloading the amount of spices a junction box can have, but as well as leaving so many open, you know, junctions left and right, so many daisy chains for just one circuit, which should be a dedicated line to begin with, especially if, you know, you have those very nice washer and dryers nowadays. They're super expensive. So if your washer circuit looks like that, last thing you want to do is go buy a new washer. You know, make sure that the circuit is safe before you plug in a new investment onto it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then you're spending a bunch on this new washer and dryer, and then you're spending a bunch on the whole new electrical work you have to do to have it.
Jeez, and just how it's split. I mean, like, I probably counted like 5 or 6 different circuits coming out of each junction. It's all split into one itself. I mean, you find these things, believe it or not, more often than not, but for the most part, it's a circuit that was abandoned or hasn't been used in quite a bit of a time. I mean, decades, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's an important circuit like the laundry circuit, yeah, big time.
Definitely don't want it looking like that.
He gave me a headache halfway through the video. I was just like,
Yeah,
oh my.
It was just going. All right, well, that was the end of our videos. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for taking action and making connections. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.